the importance of collaboration. Curious students are engaged students. Engaged students who are allowed to collaborate learn many skills and competencies that are fundamental to a 21st century learner.
Literacy learning involves effective use of personal and social skills such as collaboration, communication, leadership, and self-direction, right? People have to be able to work together. We cannot let kids out of our high schools that aren't able to collaborate and be part of a team, right?
Harvey Daniels explains the benefits of teaching collaboration.
A study that just came out, this is so cool, from one of my colleagues in Chicago, a guy called Joe Durlak, just published. And the classrooms where kids get explicit teaching of collaboration, achievement is 11% higher than in non-participating students. Just by teaching kids how to get along with each other, you get 11% greater achievement without doing anything else. And that went for achievement tests and high-stakes standardized tests in the States. This is big stuff. You know, it's not just, we want to have a great community, and that's in the document too. We have to have a supportive, warm, caring community, but it has academic payoffs just if you do it. And those are some of the benefits. It's kind of cool.
Working collaboratively also leads to increased comprehension. We've all experienced the satisfaction of working together to solve a problem. Sometimes two heads are better than one.
You know, when factual recall, it's really true. 3 heads are better than 2, 4 heads are better than 3. If you're trying to come up with factual information like the nature of grizzly bears and how to handle an attack, the more people you have, the more factual.
This symbiotic relationship between collaboration and comprehension is the engine that drives an inquiry-based classroom. Small groups do work when we share a repertoire of strategies that help them operate effectively. We proficient adults have specific social skills that we depend on, mostly unconsciously and automatically. When a group struggles, we start to consciously tap into our repertoire to diagnose the problem and get the work back on track. Students, however, might not share these skills. We need to teach them the skills they need to work together effectively.
So if we want these highly engaged classrooms where kids are doing authentic work that really, catches their interest and gets them motivated and makes them want to work, they've got to have the social skills to do it.
How do we want students to think and act when collaborating?
These are the strategies that we think are really important. Being responsible to the group, that means showing up on time, having your materials, being prepared, being ready to go to work. Listening actively, which we've just been talking about extensively, that's the second one. Speaking up, just as you must listen and do all those wonderful behaviors, you also need to take your turn on stage. You need to contribute your ideas. You need to speak up and make your point. We also believe that separate is you've got to support what you say. You've got to be able to give reasons. You've got to go back to the text. Like, where did you get that idea? Why did you think the story would end that way? You need to be able to support your ideas. We're really interested in kids being able to share airtime, and like you guys were back there, find ways to balance so that everybody's included. We have the problem in groups we call hogs and logs, right? We have hogs and logs. You got people who just yak the whole time and people who just lay there like a half-sunken log. And we try to balance between allowing people a range of ways of participating, but also there's so many levels of this. If you've got kids that are quiet, it may be that they're just quiet. It may be that it's culturally appropriate for them to be quiet. But the other thing is, as teachers, we have to ask ourselves, am I giving kids every possible invitation to become good talkers and to be comfortable in a group discussion and be comfortable on stage? Because I think it's fair to say that in life, it is pretty helpful to be able to speak up for yourself and to be part of a conversation and not be dominated by others. You see what I'm saying here? So we want to make it as comfortable as we possibly can for kids to choose to speak up. And of course, when we're disagreeing, we want to do that agreeably. We want to have differences but remain friends. And finally, it's really important in these groups, and most of the exercises that we would do in schools, we try to save time at the end for groups before they come back or report or do whatever they're going to do, to reflect on how did they do today, what did we do well, what did we struggle with, and what are we going to work on to make our group more effective next time. Write that down, put it in the journal, save it. Next time they get together in the group, they open up that journal and say, what were we going to work on today? Oh yeah, we're going to work on balancing airtime or whatever it is, and then go on from there. So there's a million ways to categorize.
Remember, it's not just group work with a group mark to encourage participation. Here's Mr. Colin Wolfley with an interesting perspective on the assessment of collaboration. Colin is a consultant with student assessment for Edmonton Public Schools.
Traditionally, or at present, it's not uncommon to see collaboration measured as an end product. So in other words, this might be the project in which students are asked to evaluate one another's participation or for them to self-evaluate. But in the end, it seems that there is little time for the students to act on that information, and it's often seen as kind of an end point. There's no way to improve. The feedback to improve has come a little too late in the learning cycle. What we're suggesting is that collaboration, for it to be measured in a purposeful way, and for students to look at ways to improve, it has to be more of an ongoing process throughout the learning cycle. So that might mean, for example, when I ask students to turn and talk for a few minutes, I use that opportunity during that 3 or 4 minutes to select a few students that I can observe more closely, and I can give them feedback in a more immediate way, and give them an idea of how they might improve. So we've defined collaboration as really boiling down to a couple of fundamental things. To what degree are you contributing to the task, and to what degree are you able to work with the ideas that come from others. And then as you move up the divisions, then there becomes the requirement to also reflect on that process. So our belief would be that whatever measurement tool, if you will, that we would use to measure collaboration, to define standards for collaboration, and to provide feedback to the learner, would be a tool that could be used in very discrete terms, things you can use in a very timely fashion, so that there would be a more clear and consistent record of what has the student been able to demonstrate as far as collaboration over a period of learning, rather than simply asking at the end to please reflect on your collaboration.
How do you structure collaboration for your students?